even if you add, both of those in, that's another 4 cars. You're talking Fisichella inside the top 6, even with the other guys still in the race. And I mean, when the accident happened, he was still first, and Button was still down in 14th. So I mean, Button would have been lucky to get points anyway.
Yeah, his estimated position was about 7th, maybe 6th if he had done well.
Yeah, Webber never seemed to get anywhere further forward than 9th. And Barrichello seemed pretty settled in 7th. So, I mean, the only one that could have done anything more about it was Vettel, and he finished 3rd anyway. So, you know, you were still talking Fisichella in, I'd have said, a podium. Which, if you looked at Force India at the start, in fact, let's face it, if you looked at Force India at any time in their previous seasons, you'd have said Fisichella on pole to start with and qualify.
It's just ridiculous.
And finishing even in the points in the race was unlikely.
But finishing in a podium position is just, wow.
Exactly, impossible, pretty much. I mean, let's face it, the Force India have so far been Force India, Midland F1 and Jordan. And it's not been since Jordan that they actually had any decent results. And then they had a couple of wins with Fisichella and Damon. So I think they've done well to turn the fortunes around, even if it has just been recently.
Yeah, but unfortunately I don't think their luck is going to last, despite our pre-recording conversation. I don't think we're going to see much more from Force India now that, now that Fisichella's driving for Ferrari for basically the rest of this GP. I mean, and then next year it looks like he's going to be the test driver for Ferrari as well. So it all depends on what driver they get next year as to whether they get any results next year. But this year I don't think we're going to see much more from them.
Well, rumour is that it's Liuzzi, their test driver, that they're going to promote for next season. But I don't know. He's not bad, but on the other hand, he's not exactly fantastic either. So I don't know. It's going to be touch and go with him. But I still think you'd be silly to write off Sutil. If he qualifies that in even the second session, and that's as far as he gets next week, I reckon he'll still get points easily. I'd be disappointed if he didn't, I think.
No, I don't know. I think he's an alright driver, but he's just not up to quality with everybody else on the field these days. I mean, his previous record this year has been stuffed full of sort of 17s, 16s, a couple of retires. I mean, the best he's done was a 9th in the Australian.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm sure it was this year that Raikkonen took him out of a 4th place. You know, he can do it. It's just when he does, bad things happen. He needs to do a Webber, really. He needs to hang around for 8 years, get his first win, and then he'll be fine. Someone else can have the bad luck.
Right. Well, aside from Force India, what did you think of the Red Bull performance? They were supposed to be on form for this one. They were certainly in the bookies and through all the race predictions, they were supposed to have won. So what do you think happened?
I don't know. They just messed up, really. Webber just didn't seem happy that weekend. He just seemed to be like, I've got a car, it's nothing spectacular, but I'll see what I can do with it.
I like this. Instead of looking at lovely hardcore official facts, you just go, I don't think he was feeling particularly happy this week.
You can tell when a driver's got a good weekend going or when he's got a bad weekend going. And I don't know, Webber just didn't seem to be putting the car around like he usually does. It's like Fernando Alonso, when he's on a good weekend, he absolutely chucks his Renault at everything. You know, coming into like large braking areas, he brakes a good 20 metres later than anybody else. But if he's on a crap weekend, you know, it's just the same as everybody else. You can tell after like years of watching Grand Prix when a driver's on a good weekend and when he's on a bad one. And Webber just seemed to be on a bad one.
But Red Bull did okay. I mean, they got one podium finish, and Webber hit ninth. But Vettel got a third. So, but it was quite an unremarkable third. He had 3.8 seconds on top of Raikkonen, but he just, I mean, really didn't seem to put much in. It was kind of like his whole race was his whole race wasn't in any way competitive. It was just, I'm sitting behind Fischer-Keller and Raikkonen. I think I'll just stay here.
But that's the other thing. It's not like he seemed to be like, I'm pushing really hard. It was just like, this is the best I can do. I can't get any closer. I mean, if the race had gone on another 5 laps, I think he would have been under pressure from Heifeld and Kubica from behind, because he just wasn't doing as well as he should be, or can be. I mean, I'm actually on the Red Bull page right now, and he started 8th and got 3rd, but like he seemed to get past the previous ones quite quickly, and then all of a sudden, that's it. But I mean, like I say, I've been watching Grand Prix since about 92, I think is the earliest Grand Prix I can remember, and you get that. A driver will blitz past. I mean, Raikkonen was famous for it. First part of the race, he'd annihilate anyone he came across, and then all of a sudden he'd get to about 4th, and that was it. He just, it wasn't that he'd stopped pushing or anything like that, he just couldn't get any closer to anyone else. It's just like, I don't know what it is. Some of them just seem to have a block. They get up to somewhere, and then despite how hard they try, they just can't get any closer to anyone.
Yes, I think that's what most of this Belgian race was about. That seemed to happen so much. I mean, like you said, Vettel got up to 3rd, but he just kind of stayed there. Kubica, I don't know, I was a bit disappointed with the Kubica. There was like a 6.1 second difference between him and Vettel. I mean, I think he could have done a bit better. Perhaps he was a bit too busy fighting with Heidfeld. And then Fischer-Keller, although he did really well, you know, he's got sort of nice second place podium position, Force India, amazing, wow. But for the whole race, all he did was sit behind Raikkonen. Raikkonen overtook Fischer-Keller in the first lap, and so basically the whole race was just Raikkonen in first, trundling along. Right? He did good speeds. Fischer-Keller wasn't really being any form of competitive. He kind of sat behind him. I mean, he was pushing it, but there was no, oh my god, is he going to overtake? Oh my god, you know, there was no. I wasn't sitting on the edge of my seat, to be honest, for that. And then Vettel was doing exactly the same. Perhaps the lack of the high-end drivers like Alonso, Button, and Hamilton, perhaps that reduced the kind of like the climate of the race and the competitiveness.
Well, there's a few things you've got to look at here. From a Force India point of view, you've got your car in second place. You're not going to win the championship. You're not going to win the drivers. But this second place is going to get you several £1 million in race revenue, because they all get bonuses depending on where they finish in the race. They'll earn extra money if they can stay ahead of Toro Rosso in the championship. So, you know, okay, it's an extra 2 points, but it wasn't enough to get them ahead of Renault. So why risk losing everything to try and get ahead of Raikkonen, when they can settle back, sit in second, where, let's face it, Vettel wasn't exactly challenging them, and earn all that stuff. But, on the other hand, if they wanted to challenge for it, you've got a Ferrari in front, it's got KERS, so it's got that extra horsepower for 6 seconds a lap. So even if you can get close to it, what you've got to be able to do is get close to it at a point where it's got no KERS left, which, let's face it, if you're not in the car and you're not on their team, you can't know. And you've got to do it early enough in the lap so that as soon as they go across the start-finish line, they don't just press the button and blast straight past you again. So, while it's okay saying, you know, they didn't exactly try or anything like that, to me it's a case of, if I was Malier on that weekend, I'd have been like, well, what's the point?